So today we're going to be checking out the differences between UK versus US bread. And I feel like if this is anywhere similar to the other food videos we've done, the British product is probably going to be superior.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've seen in the comments, guys, where people would say that American bread is like cake.
Yeah, like you guys, if we tried to sell our bread in the UK, it would be labeled as cake or classified as cake because there's so much sugar in it.
I think that's the case. Now, I do want to say that we obviously have eaten other bread.
True, there's healthier options.
Well, I was specifically saying when you've made bread at home. Like Lindsay, from time to time, has made some good sourdough bread, and that's kind of the bread we prefer. We understand. We've tried, obviously, American bread.
I don't like American bread.
I don't either.
I do like the sourdough versions and stuff we can get here.
Yeah.
But just the what are some of the mainstream
Wonder bread?
Wonder bread, bunny bread, I think is
even
one.
Nature's Own.
Yeah,
all that
they
stuff.
all have a lot of sugar.
Yeah, basically, if you go to the store to go buy a loaf of bread just off the shelf without paying attention, you're going to get something that doesn't taste like what you'd expect made at home or even made from like a restaurant or something like that. It's just like, I don't know. I wouldn't describe
fake. I don't know. Yeah. It's not, I don't know. It doesn't taste like bread to me.
We're finding all the differences between bread in the US and the UK.
Bread? Have you completely run out of ideas? Yeah, perhaps. But
processed bread has existed in both countries for almost a century, and on the surface, it looks quite similar. Unless you've been to the other country's bread aisle and thought, huh? The standard bread loaf size in the UK is 800 grams. Here's the Hovis version. This one is medium thickness, which equates to 20 slices of bread. You might also see mini loaves or half loaves. Here is the Hovis one again.
Do we do half loaves?
Here's a US process.
Sorry to pause so early on, but I have only seen one brand that does half loaves, and you've actually mentioned in the past, like when we were at the grocery store, why would anyone need a half loaf of bread? And it's like, it almost costs as much as a full loaf here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess if you're like one person, but usually if we have extra bread, we'll just put it in the freezer.
And
then take it out as we need.
That's where we normally keep our bread, is the freezer. But so a half a loaf would probably be very close to the price of a full loaf, so you're getting ripped off.
Yeah, it's not much cheaper.
Wonder bread.
Processed white bread loaf, also 20 slices, 570 grams. So that means the UK option is this much denser, heavier
Holy!
than the UK. Bigger in the UK, eh? Wonder bread also comes in a giant. Yeah!
What?
Size. The giant size,
Never seen
which
that.
is 28 slices, and according to the package, is 680 grams.
Still less than the UK version.
Our giant is well less than the UK regular version.
I can probably see why that would be, but I'm still surprised that the UK version is a bigger loaf than ours, technically.
I mean, it's thicker, it's denser, yeah.
Because it's real bread. The ones, like the Wonder Bread, is so light and fluffy and airy that it's just like...
It's like marshmallow bread.
Yeah, it's very soft.
Yeah.
Let's check the dimensions of a regular slice.
The dimensions.
I'm gonna go for a middle piece. The bread is...
Yeah, same.
I'm going for like the highest part. Can we say that's 4?
Oh, look at that.
And it weighs?
29 grams.
38 grams.
Oh,
My calculations
my goodness.
Correct, it would take roughly this many slices of the US Wonder Bread
26.
to match 20 slices of the UK Hovis bread.
Wow.
Let's put this density to the test. We're gonna see which country's bread is more pillowy.
I mean, it's gotta be the US version.
Here is our entire loaf of Hovis. Our loaf is 24 centimeters tall.
We're getting scientific.
How much can they press it down?
Here's a stack of our loaf, and right now it is exactly a foot.
Combined.
There was 9.5. That's 9.5 inches, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
1.5 kilograms. We're gonna squish this bread.
I mean, yeah.
Starting height 9.5 and 12.
So with a weight of 1.5 kilos on top of it, it's actually only gone down to 20 centimeters. What if we stop messing around? Here is a 3 kilogram weight.
I'm gonna use this external hard drive I haven't opened yet to really match his weight.
Just another day at the office. And obviously now, for science.
Oh, interesting.
Wow. Press it out as far as you can.
Using all the power of my muscles, I was able to get this down to just 8 centimeters, a third of its original height.
We win, I think.
It's not really a win, but
the most accurate test.
Depends on what you're trying to get, I guess.
Has been done by us Food Wars team, you're welcome.
Shelf life and texture are two of the key reasons why our bread evolved to look like this instead of this.
Modern bread was designed to be tough enough to hold lunch meats and cheeses, withstand the spread of peanut butter, and be soft enough to bite through, and stay edible longer.
Okay, something I'm curious about. A lot of the bread here, they add back in
They bleach the flour
Yeah.
and get rid of all the nutrients.
and then they add in
They add in
folic acid.
Yeah, all
and if you've got that gene mutation, the
MTHFR.
that is a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I think a lot of people have trouble with bread here in the U.S. And not only a lot of glyphosate.
What do they call it? Fortified?
They actually use glyphosate to dry the wheat here in the U.S.
So I wonder even if you buy organic bread, if that's the process, if that's the case.
I would think it would be less if it is. 'Cause, I mean, organic bread wouldn't have glyphosate, I guess, right? I mean, it
In
shouldn't.
the drying process, though, I don't.
I wouldn't think so. How could you say it's organic if they put glyphosate on it?
I don't know. There's weird workaround rules.
But you got the glyphosate issue here in the U.S., and then you've also got the for people that have the gene mutation, which are a ton of people, like 50% of people have this gene mutation, and they don't do well with folic acid.
Right.
So versus
folate, the natural form.
Right,
Yeah.
and so, but these companies, they always have folic acid back in, and that's not a problem for everybody. But if you have if you have two variants of that gene mutation, which are like, I don't know, is it like it's a 10% or probably less? They can't handle that at all.
Do this, bread needs sugar, fat, and preservatives.
Fat, usually in the form of butter or oil, can be added to make it softer and to extend the shelf life. Some sugars occur naturally in bread, but others can be added in to improve the texture, to inhibit mold, and to retain moisture.
How much of that is in our processed bread, you ask? Our standard white bread, Wonder Bread. 2 slices contain 5 grams of added sugar and 1.5 grams of fat. Look at this loaf of bread. It appears to be healthier. Here's the Oro wheat.
Appears to be healthier.
Whole grains,
Those
healthy.
Dave's Killer Bread.
Point out here, it even says heart healthy. Fantastic. 2 slices of this has 6 grams of added sugar and 5 grams of fat. I know. There's more to bread than just fat and sugar. More ways of deciding if it's good for you or not. I'm just saying, as far as sugar and fat, this guy has more. Moving on to my man, Dave and his Killer Bread. Shout out to Dave, Killer Guitar Bro. For sliced bread,
Sometimes
this is
we'll
more of
buy
a
that.
premium option, I feel, right? Dave's Killer
It's
Bread.
expensive.
With good seed, 2 slices of bread.
Okay. I am shocked. Like, so shocked.
He looks shocked too.
We buy this sometimes, not this version, but we do buy like Dave's Killer Bread brand sometimes to make Sophia's PBJs. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to check the version that we sometimes buy because that's insane.
Sugar and 5 grams of fat. Dave,
Yeah.
why so much sugar,
Seriously.
my man?
For the most part, UK bread sugar content is pretty low, although the labels here don't often specify if the sugars are added or naturally occurring. Here are a few processed bread options with a range of sugar content. 2 slices of our Hovis white bread contains 2.8 grams of sugar. One of our more sugary options is actually this protein power bread from Warburton's.
3.2.
3.2 grams of sugar. And then at the lower end of the spectrum, we have this wholemeal, no added sugar bread from Warburton's. 2 slices of this contains 0.86 grams
wow.
of sugar.
What about the calorie count? Back
Nice.
to Wonder Bread. 2 slices, 140 calories.
2 slices of our Hovis soft white medium bread contains 186 calories.
It is denser.
Compared to the US Wonder Bread, our bread has less
Hold
fat,
on.
but more.
Okay, a little
Less
bit more
fat, more
protein, more fiber.
less sugar.
Wait, less fiber. Interesting, less fiber. I thought it would have more since it's denser.
Maybe because we add back in a bunch of
Look at the extra amount of carbohydrates somehow. That's interesting. Is it just the density? There's more flour packed into
maybe
every
and less air.
slice? Yeah,
more flour.
less air. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with.
Calories and carbs. Surprisingly, much higher sodium too.
Although it's a small amount, the U.S. bread is higher in fiber. Fiber aids in digestion and helps you feel fuller longer. You'll also notice both breads are fortified with vitamins and minerals. White bread loses most of its essential nutrients during the milling process. In the 1930s, once processed bread became a staple of the modern diet, scientists saw a rise in health issues like rickets and iron deficiencies due to lack of nutrients. So, with the help of the government, manufacturers added those nutrients back in. In the U.S., this was a major selling point for Wonder Bread. Ads in the 60s and 70s boasted Wonder Bread.
Just eat the whole thing, man.
12 ways. Let me take a look at this real quick. I mean, look at this. It's got vitamin D, calcium, iron, potassium, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, folic acid. Booyah.
In November 2024, the UK government introduced new legislation requiring flour producers to fortify their flour with folic acid. This is mainly designed with pregnant people in mind, as it helps prevent birth defects.
Yes, but if you don't have the gene mutation,
the
which
MTHFR mutation,
which it is now proven roughly 50 to 60% of the population have at least one variant of that. And then there's another 10%, maybe even less than that have the two variants. And if they're not aware of it, then they could have all sorts of issues. And because
that's why you really don't want a prenatal vitamin with folic
no,
acid.
You want folate.
Yeah,
folate is where you want to go. And if you know you don't have the gene mutation for sure because you've been tested, then it's probably fine.
Right.
You'll be okay. But if you don't know for sure, you could have at least one variant, which makes that a big deal. You know.
Also, preservatives added to the bread to help extend the shelf life and to give it a softer, chewier texture. Here are some commonly used ones in both the US and the UK.
A few of them have scary sounding names, but are in some cases natural and harmless in the amount that they are in the bread.
Mono and diglycerides.
Poniates. Organic salt. Acidic acid. Organic
That's
acid
horrifying.
Vinegar. Ascorbic acid is vitamin C. Why did they not just call it vitamin C? I don't know. All these ingredients have been studied extensively and are recognized as safe in both countries.
When it comes to retail, bread is sorted into categories in both the US and the UK. There are some key differences between the common types you'll see advertised. In the UK, we pretty much just have a big two. We have white bread and wholemeal bread.
Here in the US, we have something I like to consider the big four. White, whole wheat, whole grain, multigrain. But are there actually many differences between these?
Let's start with white bread.
What about sourdough?
White bread is made using only the endosperm of a wheat grain. That's what gives it its distinctive white color.
That's why they have to add back in.
And the bran also takes away some nutrients and gives it a higher glycemic index. I do love white bread. I'm a sucker for it. I know it's not nutritionally as complete as some of the others, but I was a fussy kid and I love my white bread.
In the US, our white bread flour is often bleached. Once floured is milled, it needs to be aged a little bit before it can be ideal for baking. But that takes time and money, so some manufacturers use chemical aging, aka bleaching, to quicken the process and make the production more reliable.
Yeah.
In the UK, it's actually illegal to bleach flour.
Well, that makes sense.
Hold on, give a clap here. Congratulations. That is horrible, and you know that right there. Put everything else aside, good or bad, whatever. That right there, you're the winner. Right there, in my opinion.
I personally don't enjoy, like when I make bread at home, I personally don't enjoy buying whole wheat flour to do it. So I usually use white flour, but I buy organic unbleached flour at least.
Yeah.
So
bleaching additives such as potassium bromate and azodicarbonamide have been considered possible carcinogens after studies linked them to causing cancer in lab animals. Next up, we have wholemeal or whole grain bread. Wholemeal is just the more common term in the UK. This bread, as the name suggests, uses the entire kernel in the
Oh my goodness, it does.
The bran, the germ,
Wow.
and the endosperm are all in here.
I wonder if it's
doesn't
dry.
refer to a specific type of grain. This could be wheat, but it could also be other things like oat or barley.
I have a feeling, guys, I obviously don't know this for sure, but just based off of comments in the past talking about different food stuff, I think that the majority of the time, could be wrong, but I feel like you guys make toast out of your bread more often than not.
ooh, yeah, like.
But they do enjoy. I know sandwiches are majorly enjoyed in the UK, so I don't know.
Buttered bread.
Yeah, I don't know if you're toasting your sandwich bread or not, but like beans on toast. I know a lot of people just eat toast with their just breakfast in general with eggs or whatever. So I just have this feeling that toast is a major component of the diet in the UK versus here. You know, toasting happens, obviously, but I feel like it's more kept as the whole thing because we eat a lot of stuff like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and whatnot. So let us know, guys. Do you guys generally almost always toast your bread, or do you also eat bread by itself without being toasted?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Definitely got a bit more sponginess and robustness to it than the white loaf did. Much more rounded flavor as well.
The bran is the grain's outer protective shell. The endosperm is the starchiest part of the grain, and it nourishes the germ as it develops. And the germ is what sprouts into the plant. It's the only part of the grain that has healthy fats. This means these grains are a great source of fiber, vitamins, and minerals. All other bread types have grain that have been refined, so they give bread a finer and softer texture and increase its shelf life. Next, we got whole wheat. As the name suggests, the same process as the whole grain, but specifically they use only wheat for whole wheat rather than other grains like rye. I've always associated white bread with being sweeter, but right there it's like, it just tastes kind of like nothing. Whole wheat, you can really taste the wheat. How's that for some insight? If I was to choose between the two, I usually go whole whete because you can actually taste the bread.
I actually prefer whole wheat too.
Technically, also.
Sorry to keep pausing. I guess we have a lot to say about bread. I didn't realize it when we started, but it's interesting because when I make bread, usually sourdough or like some type of sandwich bread, it's white bread.
Yeah.
But if we buy it at the store, it's for sure sourdough or wheat bread.
Whole wheat, yeah.
I don't ever buy white bread.
I'm not a fan of like going and like I go to somewhere that makes a sandwich at like Jersey Mike's or something. I don't like the white bread personally.
Well, it doesn't stick with you as long.
No, and it just doesn't. It doesn't have the it's too soft.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have that chewiness or hardiness. Yeah.
So whole grain bread, but not all whole grain bread is whole wheat. Understand?
UK bread is commonly made with a different type of wheat to the US. The UK mostly uses white wheat, which tends to have a lower gluten level when compared to American grains. Some UK breads actually make up for this by adding additional wheat gluten as an extra ingredient.
Y'all love wheat gluten.
You do.
Red wheat variety, and yes, has higher gluten levels. It might be hard to see, but higher gluten content usually means it's chewier and springier.
Interesting.
Feels spongier, right? So many different grains, not just wheat, hence whole grain. And there's also multigrain. Now, multigrain bread refers to any bread where it has at least 2 different grains. 2 means multi, apparently. But usually they use a few. Multigrains can be grains like wheat, oats, rye, quinoa. These grains may have been processed,
bread.
so unless it states it on the package, don't assume multigrain is also whole grain.
We do have multi-grain loaves in UK stores, but they're not super common. Not many of the major brands produce them, or at least advertise that they do have them. Although we did find that this Warburton's protein power loaf is technically multi-grain. Brits also love seeded bread, which, as the name suggests, is bread either topped with seeds or with seeds mixed in. Both this protein power loaf and this explicitly seeded loaf from Warburton's obviously have seeds. Although it's important to note that seeds are not the same thing as grains and do not count for the purpose of something being multi-grain. Who knew bread could be so complicated?
Given the extra emphasis
I wonder what type of seeds those are.
Used in the U.S., it's likely that this is somewhat.
I don't want to pause anymore.
The key things to watch out are they using the whole grain? And what percentage of the total flour used is whole grain? Here's the bad news. Some of these loaves make it hard to figure that second one out.
In the UK, for something to be advertised as wholemeal bread, it must be made with 100% wholemeal flour. In the US, however, bread only has to be made with 50% wholemeal flour
Of course.
to be sold as wholemeal bread.
Of course. That's like so many things. They just trick you. I was just seeing something. I was shot down. Oh yeah, Breyer's ice cream. Okay, that's a very popular ice cream brand here in the U.S.
It's natural and like
no, get this.
real ice cream.
Someone was noticing how it said they couldn't find ice cream written on the carton anywhere, and it said
what?
It said something about frozen dairy dessert. And what happened was somehow they ended up basically lowering the cream and replacing it with some gums and stuff to the point that it wasn't quite enough cream to where it could legally be classified as ice cream anymore.
Are you
Therefore,
serious?
they basically call it a frozen dessert. No one even knows about it. No one even thinks about it. But yes, Breyer's ice cream, which is a quintessential, what is known as a good, clean ice cream
quality
in our frozen section.
Brand.
Yeah, and it is literally legally not ice cream. And this just goes to show me again, they trick us with the wording and the way they measure things and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
We do have something called 50-50 or best of both in the UK.
50-50.
50-50 blend of white and wholemeal.
I have never seen that before. That's a good idea.
They do not and cannot advertise this as wholemeal bread, but in the US, they would be able to.
That actually sounds similar to something like this Sara Lee loaf, which describes itself as white bread with whole grain. It definitely tastes closer to white than whole grain. 8 grams of whole grain, no high fructose corn syrup, no artificial colors and flavors. Let's go!
When it comes to shelf life, most Brits will look at the tag on the label for guidance. According to the guidance on most retail websites, sliced white bread is good for around 3 days.
In the US, ours is printed on the package.
3 days.
I feel like ours is longer,
Something to note,
for sure.
in both countries, the manufacturer sets these dates. In the US, we have the shelf life, which means how long a product is good for.
Yeah, 3
and the
days.
expiration date.
I can only imagine
The
ours
last
lasts a
date
lot
the
longer
manufacturer
than that.
guarantees quality and safety. Now, sometimes it's fine after that date, and sometimes it's not. Lastly, there's the sell-by date, which tells the stores who manage the inventory
So
when
confusing.
they gotta get rid of it by. You can definitely eat it a few days after that if you handle the product properly.
Here in the UK, we have two things. We have a best before date, which is regarding quality. After that date, it might still be safe to eat, but it's not going to be at its best. And then secondly, we have a use by date. This is the date where if it's gone past that, it's probably no longer
So
safe to
expiration.
consume.
Yeah.
That said, I have definitely eaten bread when it's past its best by and probably use by dates. I've even picked off little moldy bits. I'm
I have
sorry.
too.
I rarely encounter moldy bread. Perhaps it's because it is common to keep processed bread in the refrigerator, although not the case in the
Freezer.
Absolutely not. If you ask famed UK baker Paul Hollywood, he claims that bread goes stale 3 times faster in the fridge. That's because
Well,
the
we put it in
refrigeration
fridge, put it in
actually
freezer.
draws moisture out of the bread. Typically in the UK, I would say bread is stored in a cupboard, kitchen counter, or
A bread
maybe a bin.
box.
I want to say this, I must say I've experienced both ways, and I can say our freezer bread, it doesn't really have any difference to me.
I will say if you're going to use it and not toast it,
That's
once you put it in the freezer, it
true.
doesn't taste as soft.
Okay, that's true, because anytime I've taken bread out, I toast
Yeah,
it.
we're toasting it.
That's true. So I really don't know how it would go if I was just making a... No, that's
Although
not true.
sometimes I make Sophia PBJs and
But you know what I realized? Yes, when I have made a PB&J, now that I think about it, the bread does seem drier. So maybe there is something to that. He was talking about refrigeration, but I'm guessing freezing it to be the same way, that it would
Yeah.
probably take some of the moisture out of it.
But if you're like us and you don't go through bread that often,
Yeah.
it's better than throwing it away
That's
every
the
time.
thing. Like we would take a loaf and it would literally last us weeks
Right.
because we just don't eat
Because we
enough
put it in the
bread.
freezer.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But I do want to point out, according to the USDA, commercially baked breads can be stored 7 to 14 days in the refrigerator.
Another crucial aspect when it comes to storing bread, how do you reseal the bag?
I tell you, the only way to do it,
I just
Twist.
This is what I use.
I'm definitely a twist and tuck. Simply
Yeah,
grab your
Twist
bag,
and
same.
tuck, yeah.
Twist,
spin it around.
Yeah.
Everybody does that, huh?
seal. This is the way to do it. This is the easiest way to do it. This works even with one piece missing. Still can tuck it. Stays as fresh.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll get these clips. I don't know. Do you know what these
Twist
are
and
called?
tuck.
Does anyone know what these are called? I have no idea what they're
I
called.
can't stand those things.
I like them.
These kind of got banned in my school, or at least a classroom I was in.
Or they put them on their tongues
Everyone knows. You just break off a thing. You know this
as a
trick?
weapon.
Do you know what I'm doing? Okay. Then you put in your finger like that, and then. Pew.
Oh.
It needs to be a lot more nimble, but you can really.
A
like,
weapon?
Like just.
It
like,
is
get
sharp.
It is
Those
sharp.
things
Look
are
at them,
sharp.
Getting them like in the face and the neck.
Yes.
Again.
See?
School just
I just can't stand using them because I try to get it. They don't work very well. I'll get it back
in
on.
the UK. Typically,
I'm
it's just like a
just-
piece
yeah.
of tape. But I did find one on this bread. Yeah. Oh, okay. I think Joe would probably take one of my eyes out with one before I could land a hit on him. But hey, good fun. Here are some of the most popular bread
Wow.
options in the UK.
And here are a bunch of the most common processed breads in the US.
Right away, you can see a difference in the packaging used in both countries. The 3 main bread brands here in the UK are Hovis, Warburton's, and Kingsmill. Although additionally, every supermarket in the UK will stock its own brand of bread. The big brands over here have warm and pleasant names. They sound like maybe the surname of the founder of the brand or a town somewhere in England.
Yeah.
Whereas we have names like Wonder Bread or
Nature's own.
He doesn't have bunny bread up there.
Oh, he doesn't.
don't forget about Nature's Harvest. And we also have my man Dave's Killer Bread. Got this, you see this dude, Dave, I assume, playing the guitar.
One thing I will say about the marketing over here is that the UK bread companies take their TV ads very seriously. Hovis won ITV's Advert of the Decade award.
Okay,
in 2009.
okay.
I've heard, like, we've got so many comments saying we need to check out Warburton's
Yeah,
ads.
yeah.
And I was thinking in my head, as an American, well, how could it be that exciting? It's for bread, but
Okay,
it must
yeah,
be.
we're gonna have to do that. I totally forgot about that. But the rest of the tea adverts were
Yeah,
amazing. So
yeah.
I sure bread probably pretty cool too.
For their Go On Lad campaign. And Warburton
Go
seemingly
On
has
Lad.
a limitless TV ad budget. They've run campaigns with Sylvester Stallone, Samuel L. Jackson, Robert De Niro, and more.
I totally fall for the fact that a bread has a lot of like seeds, or you can see like the grains. and it's like a darker brown, I'm absolutely like, yes, the healthier bread.
Yeah.
I don't look at the label, I don't look at the fiber and content.
I really don't have much brand loyalty when it comes to bread, and I'm not sure many
Same.
Brits do either. My personal view is that unless you're spending big money on like an artisanal loaf, I feel like the supermarket own brand ones just do the job completely fine. We do eat a lot of bread in the UK. 99% of households regularly buy bread, and an estimated 12 million loaves are sold every day.
12
In 2024,
Wait,
the UK bread
12 million loaves every day?
A day?
Okay, there's roughly, I'm a little off, 60 million people roughly in
That
the
makes
UK.
me want to know how many in the US.
So that is 20% of people
Buy a loaf of bread every day?
to a loaf of like what? Okay, that's a lot of bread. Wow.
We thought tea was a lot.
Yeah, so bread and tea, man.
market was estimated to be worth £7.8 billion.
Wow.
All the major three players produce a white loaf and a wholemeal loaf as the bare minimum.
The U.S. bread industry was valued at $30 billion in 2022. Grupo Bimbo is the biggest.
Grupo
with
Bimbo.
$15 billion market cap.
I thought it was
Over
Bimbo.
30 brands. Wasn't going to get all of them.
Wait,
Couldn't have got all
30?
of them. So these are 4.
30 brands?
Starting here, we got Sara Lee. We all know Sarah. Nature's
We all know
Harvest.
Sarah.
Artisano.
Oh,
And I'm
Artisano.
assuming this is pronounced Ora wheat.
Wait, isn't Artisano Sara Lee?
I thought it was. I thought it was just
think
like a fancy
That's a
Sara
fancy
Lee.
Sara Lee. Probably has the
Yeah.
same ingredients, but it does look nicer. The packaging is nicer. It's this like frosted packaging on top.
Frosted.
Definitely upscaled or upmarketed.
But they took out the H. I don't know why. What can be said about this bread? We already saw the Sara Lee, we saw Nature's Harvest. Guys, this one, how clever is this? They made it seem like the bag is steamed.
Yeah.
They put a hot loaf of bread in here. This isn't steamed. This isn't condensation. Look, it's not.
No, it's like
The
frosted.
plastic is frosted.
Foggy. Yeah.
This is clever. This is, I would probably like, what do we got here? Ooh, golden wheat. So let's taste this.
It's probably sweet.
It says golden wheat. This is just
It looks thicker.
Yeah.
Does
It's
it?
fine.
Almost like brioche.
Points
Yeah.
for the steam bag. This would definitely stand out in the aisle. I hope nobody bought this thinking that like, wow, they must be bagging in the back of the car.
From Hovis, we'll start with best of both. I touched upon it earlier, but best of both is a type of loaf that contains 50% white flour and 50% wholemeal flour. So for context, here we have a white bread slice, your best of both slice, and here is a wholemeal slice. I think the
okay.
draw of this one is that it's kind of like a healthier option than white bread.
Do you see how much thicker the whole meal
Yeah,
slice looks
yeah.
comparatively?
Without fully going to the brown bread side. I also think that when Joe first heard about this, he thought it was going to be like a zebra loaf, like one brown, one white slice. Actually, I like the idea of. Hovis also makes a granary loaf. According to the
Granary?
website, the granary method was discovered by Benedictine monks in Burton Abbey. What they would do is actually malt their grains. So they would let them just about start to sprout and then toast them. So you really
Oh,
do
so
get
sprouted
kind of
grains.
malty flavor from this bread compared to just a classic wholemeal.
Okay.
I probably would pick the whole grain, healthy multigrain. I mean, look, I can be persuaded. It says heart healthy on here. It's important to me. I'm getting it. You know. Yes, it has more sugar, but it has 40 grams of whole grains, 9 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber. It's free from artificial preservatives, all those things earlier that we scared you with. So it's not, you're not really tipping the scales in your health, good or bad, with the bread you're picking. Like, what are you putting in the middle of it and how much are you eating it? I think has more to do with your health than whatever bread you're picking. Not nutritionist. Don't take this clip and dunk on me on TikTok. People are like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Right. I never said I did.
Now we're on to some options from Warburton's. We went a bit crazier here, I promise.
Wow. Look at all the
Whoa.
Warburtons, man.
Power loaf. This one has 16 grams of protein in every 2 slices, which does sound quite high.
Toasty.
For context, it's basically double the amount of a white toasty loaf. I guess if I were a gym goer, which quite obviously I'm not, maybe I would look into doing this. I just worry that
Protein
with the protein
power.
stuff, often it's an excuse to charge a bit more than you normally would for a product that hasn't really changed.
I wonder how much
And
extra it
recently,
is.
A lot of the bread makers have started doing toasty loaves. The primary
makes
use of this
sense.
is actually for toasty sandwiches, usually with something like cheese and other toppings in the middle. This is extra thick bread, so it's designed to contain all those delicious toasty fillings.
Next up,
Interesting.
Flour Foods, the second biggest producer.
Yeah, flour
Flour
is
foods?
flour is
processed
huge.
bread in the
Yeah.
U.S. Also, so many big brands. Here's 4. Look, I went to Walmart. All right, this is what they have. Nature's Own.
Trust me, we got a whole aisle of bread at Walmart. What
Oh
are you
my
talking
goodness,
about?
it's massive.
On here, 13 grams of whole grain.
Here we have a baker's bloomer loaf. It's extra thick white bread.
Look at
What they
that.
describe as a rustic crust. By
Yeah.
rustic, I think they mean it's a little bit thicker compared to a crust that you would get on a regular loaf.
Is that a
It's got
paper
the
bag?
dusting of
It looks
the
like
flour
it.
topping as well. Personally, this is some of my favorite toast bread.
That looks
Next up, we
good.
have Danish bread. Not made in Denmark, still made by Warburton's, just called Danish bread. This is advertised as like a lower calorie option when compared to regular bread. Apparently they use a Danish technique, which is to put the bread in a larger than usual loaf tin. As it bakes, it's allowed to rise higher, more air pockets are in there, so there's kind of like less density going on.
Home pride. Look at this. Got the silhouette of the lady holding a steaming loaf of bread. We're
That looks
assuming.
very
It just
bottom
screams
tier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Home pride.
Small town. Surely the people who made this took painstaking care. It just is processed. This is softer.
I just can't imagine just eating
Me neither.
plain bread like that.
No.
I know there's a difference, but back to what I said before, the reason I get like the bread with like nuts and stuff in it, because I'm like, all this tastes too similar. Might as well get something at least like the possibility of getting some grains in there.
As a slightly more fancy option, we have a Old English white loaf. One that I do have a soft spot for.
Tiger
bread.
bloomer.
Tiger
Heavily into the
bloomer.
branding for this one, which
Oh,
I
that's
appreciate.
cute.
We have the kind of like tiger stripe packaging
That
down
is
here,
adorable.
The claw over the leg.
That's what you'd
Tiger
buy?
bread gets
I
its name from
would.
the pattern
That's
on
cute.
the top. What you do is you start with a white
Look what I
bread, and then
bought.
you paint a kind of rice paste on top of it.
A
As it
rice
bakes and
paste?
rises, the rice paste will crack and also char up a little bit. So you end
Looks
up
like a
with this
tiger
almost kind of
scratch.
tiger pattern paint.
Whoa.
It does add like a little bit of a distinctive flavour to it, but I think it's more about the look of it and also the texture. Like I
That's
said,
cute.
Brits love a seeded loaf, and Warburtons are cashing in on that. Here is their original seeded batch loaf. I do like the look of a seeded loaf. It feels healthier as well.
I don't
Just the
like
fact that you
seed
can
bread,
see the
though.
seeds
You don't?
you're eating. And then finally, one that I found today that
I
I've
think I
never
do.
seen before is a milk roll.
A
I don't know
milk
what this is.
roll?
I know in Japan they make milk bread.
What in the world is a
It's
milk
shokupan.
roll?
Maybe it's kind of like that. It's just odd to see like a cylindrical bread, you know, you do not see that often. I mean, to me, that just tastes like white bread.
People want to get
Interesting.
granular.
Very thin and very like
About the
round.
differences. But if all this tastes the same, don't you think you'd want something like, look, at least I'm getting my daily
Yeah, I like
seeds.
that better.
more
Yeah,
sugar, more
personally.
fat.
But the thing with seeds, like as cool as it looks, and as much as I'm like, oh, I'm healthier when I eat it, it doesn't digest. Like it's all that for nothing. I feel like
I just like the way it tastes and the way it looks.
It looks good.
It just
but
the texture and I'm very
I feel
peculiar
like
about
you're not
texture.
really getting anything out of it. Is all I'm saying.
I'm not doing it for the health. I'm doing it for like.
But I'm
I
saying
like
that's
the
why a
texture
lot of
it.
people buy it is because it's healthier or adding a bunch of nutrition, but
I
it's
mean,
really not.
I mean, maybe a little bit.
Like, doesn't this seem like it's just got more of the good stuff in it? This is really good. I, of course, have no proof of this. I'm wondering, because now that I know that it has a lot of added sugar,
Yeah,
it
that's
does
crazy.
taste a little sweeter than the other ones. Like, I'm noticing a sweet difference.
A sweet
But I don't
difference.
know if maybe they're adding more sugar to this.
I like Dave's Killer
Maybe
Bread a little
offset
bit. I mean, when I've had it,
essentially
It's usually
the
pretty
bitter
dry
taste
though, I will say.
seeds
Yeah.
and grains.
it is a bit
Here
drier.
we have
Sure.
the King's Milk 50-50. Then we have a play on their 50-50.
No
which is
crust.
No crust.
For the kids.
Obviously, it's not possible, as far as I'm aware, to bake a loaf without crusts.
I
Right.
don't think that'd be
You must
possible.
baking regular loaves and then just cutting
Probably
them,
costs
stuff
more.
them, and putting them in bags. Also, come on, if you're not eating your crusts, please grow up. Even when I was young and a fussy eater, I ate my crusts. That's one thing I can claim some moral high ground on. We're not fans of food waste. Every crust we cut off goes on to make animal food.
Aw, that's
The
nice.
animals can eat grass. Humans should eat their crusts.
The average
Eh,
price of
live
this
and let
loaf of
live.
Wonder Bread from my local Walmart was $2.92 for 20 slices.
Here is our Hovis Soft White 800-gram loaf. At Tesco, that will cost you £1.30
That is so cheap.
compared to the Wonder Bread. Obviously, costs can vary depending on which store you go to.
Okay.
Smaller though.
No, remember it was the same size. It was
Oh,
just
look.
it was more
Look how
dense. Yeah, but it was
shorter.
same size. It was same amount. Actually, it was more
More.
than. It was more
Was it
than
that one?
Yeah, it was actually just denser.
Y'all, the Dave's Killer Bread is like almost $6 a loaf.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
One study showed that in the U.S., the price difference between a white loaf of bread at a Walmart state to state, the difference of price could vary as much as $3.
Bread
What?
is pretty cheap in the UK, especially if you're willing to
Wow.
avoid the branded goods. Aldi's own brand version of this loaf will cost you just 47 pence.
How
wait,
expensive can
wait,
we
wait, 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 what?
Like 50 cents basically.
Basically,
That's
in a
crazy.
nutshell. That's insane. Dude, we couldn't buy a slice of bread for 50 cents. I mean, like, that you wouldn't sell it, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's insane. 47 pence. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
With grocery store bread.
Here is a premium crafted white
There we
sourdough
go.
loaf.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Cost me £3.75. At
Ooh,
800 grams,
That's
it's
what-
about the
that's what
same
I'd be
size as
buying.
the Hovis loaf.
We have so much bread in the U.S. So much. Here is a loaf of Ezekiel bread.
Yeah.
This loaf was $7.99.
Yeah, those are
per slice.
insane.
Yeah.
Now, it is not an ultra-processed bread. I will say that. So it probably has something to do with the
Sprouted
increase in price.
grains.
Yeah,
Out of
sprouted
morbid
grains.
Curiosity, I want to know what's the most expensive loaf of
$8.
processed bread I can get here in Los Angeles. So of course, I went on to Erewhon.com. For those of you who don't know, Erewhon is a grocery chain in Los Angeles where people
Have you heard of that
get, like,
store?
smoothies for like $50
Yeah.
bucks or whatever.
Yeah, very expensive. Very
Way more
expensive.
expensive than Whole Foods. Anyway, I found this. A keto sandwich bread, the Base Culture keto bread, a loaf of it for $12.
$12.
Bread has been around forever. The ancient Egyptians were some of the first to make it, and that was millennia ago. Eventually, bread made its way up through Europe. Romans were all about bread during the Roman Empire. When European settlers
Bread
went
and
over to the
circuses.
US, they brought bread with them.
Once the U.S. started mass producing wheat, bread as an industry exploded. The Industrial Revolution introduced us to mechanically milled flour so it could be created in abundance. Processes were introduced like adding chemicals to make mass bread production more reliable
There we
at a
go.
massive scale, consistent with texture, taste, and shelf life.
More
Kyle
isn't always
Rowe
better.
Came along in the early 1900s with his industrial bread slicer, and everyone lost their mind.
It was cheap, widely available, and lasted a long time. In many ways, it was actually paramount in starting modern supermarket culture. Eventually, many more styles of bread were introduced to the mass market, leading us to today, when many grocery stores have entire aisles dedicated just to bread. I'm a bread boy. I'm not afraid to admit
Bread
that. I like
boy.
quite a lot of bread. It does vary. If I'm feeling like a treat, or I know I've got like a weekend coming up where I'm going to have time to make brunch, then I'll grab myself a nice loaf of sourdough or some kind of bloomer from the shop.
Which bread
Yes.
do I normally have in my house? You guys are not going to believe this. But because of my diet, as you've seen from these two shows that I host, my wife does most of the grocery ordering. Every time I go to the grocery store, I come back with chips and Salisbury bread and everything. So she's just like, she takes care of it and does the Instacart order. And the bread that she introduced me to, that we have in our house almost exclusively, is this Ezekiel bread. If I was to pick though, sometimes I'll get Dave's Killer Bread. I feel like with Dave's Killer Bread, I'm like supporting like the little guy. I just
Not really anymore.
Probably not no more.
I'm pretty sure it's bought out, yeah.
giant corporation, so I guess not. Hey, Dave, the American dream, right? You made a company, you sold it. I'm assuming you play guitar now. Good for you.
I'm not much of a baker. I really wish I could be. I know everyone started making sourdough in lockdown. I wasn't one of those people, unfortunately. I'm a good cook, but baking for me is a very different skill set. It's more of a science, and I like kind of freestyling a bit in the kitchen.
That was interesting.
Hey, yeah, again, I didn't realize we had so much to say on bread.
I know. Obviously, we definitely had more to say than I thought we would as well. Bread here, I mean, like, I don't know what the size of the aisles look like in the UK, but here bread gets its own extremely long
At
aisle.
Walmart,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, because they have a lot more space, and the aisle is just an entire, obviously you've got one side, and the other side, well, one whole side is bread.
Yeah, like I'm talking about, like, how long is that? I don't even know how long that is. The average in a Walmart Supercenter is about 100 to 130 feet long. So
Wow,
that's about
I didn't
100 to 130 feet of
Bread.
What is that? 5, 6 shelves up, 7 shelves? I don't even know.
Something like that.
Yes.
And it's not just like loaf bread. It's bagels and buns.
Hot dog
and,
buns,
yeah,
hamburger
like,
buns, yeah, like that.
But still, it's a lot
All
of bread.
bread stuff. And so on that, I mean, how many choices do you have? Like, I don't know, 50? 100? I don't know. It's a ton of choices anyway.
Overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming. And you got the really, really cheap stuff and the really expensive
And in
stuff.
the last couple of years, they've finally started carrying some sourdough options.
Mm-hmm.
Not many, maybe like 2.
But the sourdough options generally are not going to be as clean as
No,
you
not,
would have at
not
home.
as clean. But for buying loaf bread,
Yeah, it's better. It's better. What does it cost? Our meat farm, the wife, she makes
sourdough loaves.
How much
and we'll
does
deliver 'em.
the sourdough loaf
I
cost?
want to say it's like $8 or $9.
Yeah, I think it's $8 or $9. Yeah, and
Which is pricey, but
what was it
she
at?
delivers it to you.
What was it at Weaver Street?
In North Carolina?
Like, yeah, we would get to those.
They were smaller, like little round sourdough.
They were decent. They were about like,
I
yeah.
would say 6, but
Yeah.
now they're probably more.
So anyways, definitely sounds like your bread overall is going to be much cheaper. You know, we can get stuff, even the cheap stuff is going to be what seems to be what you're paying for your average bread.
We don't eat enough bread really to warrant this, but the dream for me is to one day like be able to mill our own grains. Like they have countertop mill machines that you can buy, like einkorn flour, and mill it yourself.
Well, I'll push back on this. And the reason I'll push back on you say we don't eat enough bread. The reason we don't eat enough bread, in my opinion, I would eat a lot more bread if we had just plain sourdough. Like I would eat bread, you know, a little bit here or there every day probably. I would probably have bread with definitely with stews and soups.
Yeah.
I definitely would be more interested in having a sandwich if we had that type of bread more often. But it's aggravating to make it. You know, obviously you don't want to make it all the time. But the stuff at the grocery store, not a big fan of. We do eat it some, but probably not as much bread as you guys watching. If you're from the UK, you guys sounds like probably consume a lot more bread than we personally do.
I want to know in the comments what your favorite brand and type of bread is. That's
Yes.
what I want to know.
Let us know, guys. And also, let us know, should we just do Warburton adverts?
Or is Hovis a good one to look at?
Are there other ones that are...
He said they won an ITV award for their ads, so...
Well, I mean, like, you know, it makes more... I know, like, just like multiple tea brands have good adverts. You know, Yorkshire, I don't think you could beat Yorkshire. At least what we've seen so far.
Those are great.
Yorkshire adverts are amazing. But I am curious now about the bread adverts. I think this could be something we should check out in the near future. So let us know if there are other brands we should check out in terms of their adverts for being really quirky or whatnot.
And if you made it this far, thank you.
Yeah. And I'm sorry about my voice. Hopefully you can hear it. I know it's a little bit... subtle, I guess, today. But guys, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow us on our journey. Until next time, peace.
Bye.